Pyramids are one of my favorite subjects to talk about. Why is this? First of all, pyramids are extremely powerful, and in fact, I have put them to use myself. Another reason is because when I started my awakening journey, when I first started to ask the questions about who I was and the reality I found myself in, the Great Pyramid of Giza was the first thing that struck my mind, because I had to ask myself, who built the Great Pyramid of Giza? And secondly, why was the Great Pyramid of Giza built? When I started researching the Great Pyramid of Giza, the reason I was asking these questions was because it seemed obvious that the Great Pyramid wasn't built by human beings. And in fact, just to give you an example, it would take a 20-ton stone block to be laid every 2.5 minutes by 20,000 men for 20 years. The reason why I tell you this fact or this piece of information is because the Pyramid of Giza is said to have been built over a 20-year period by human slaves, by men. Well, as I've just given you the maths of how many stone blocks would have to be laid and how long, for how long, it just seems impossible, right? 20-ton stone blocks would have to be placed side by side every 2.5 minutes. Bearing in mind the Pyramid of Giza is an absolutely huge monument. How could you take a 20-ton stone block and carry it halfway up the pyramid and lay it every 2.5 minutes with 20,000 men? Another thing about the Great Pyramid of Giza is that these 20-ton stone blocks are so closely connected that you couldn't even fit a piece of paper through them. And so we aren't talking about cement here that has put these stone blocks together. It would be practically impossible to repeat the same process in this day and age. We don't even have the technology or the architects or the engineers capable of building a pyramid like the Great Pyramid of Giza. And so how was this built, and who built it, and why? Again, we are asking the same questions. The Japanese tried to replicate the Great Pyramid of Giza. However, when they did this, they only tried to build a fifth of it. And this is because the Great Pyramid of Giza is so huge. Were they successful in their attempt to build a fifth of the Great Pyramid of Giza? No, and in fact they failed. So we couldn't even build a building a fifth of the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza if we tried. And so maybe we are talking about either advanced human beings who we are unaware of who built this monument, or more interestingly, an extraterrestrial civilization who visited the Earth to build this monument. Why would they do this? Well, perhaps whoever built the Great Pyramid knew that there would be a time where humans would awaken and begin to ask the question, who built the Great Pyramid, and more importantly, why? And it's this very question that leads us to finding out the truth about who we really are. Because if we can acknowledge the fact that maybe there are extraterrestrials, or maybe they were advanced civilizations in our history, then we can begin to fully understand our universe and ask more questions which will lead to more soul evolution, more growth, more truth, and ultimately lead to a wonderful process of soul evolution.